All right, so get ready, because today we're doing a deep dive on something kind of creepy. We're going to be talking about smart glasses and also facial recognition. Basically how the idea of personal privacy is like kind of fading away,
Yeah.
especially when seeing something doesn't really mean believing anymore.
Yeah, it's a really interesting topic, especially these days, because this whole landscape of like tech and stuff is changing so fast. And today we're going to be talking about some of the latest stuff that's been happening, so you can stay informed.
Yeah, for sure. And we've got a ton of articles and like news and announcements to get through. But the thing that really like blew my mind was some stuff going on at Harvard. But before we get into that, let's talk about Meta's Ray-Ban Meta glasses for a sec. Remember when those first came out back in 2021? Everyone wanted them for vacations, concerts, just capturing everything hands-free.
Yeah, for sure. It seemed like they were really pushing the whole like experience angle, like
Wow.
being able to share and enhance experiences and stuff. But it's kind of crazy how much things have changed even since then.
Right. I mean, back then, having like built-in cameras and being able to record audio that was already like pushing it for some people. Now they've got like voice-activated Meta AI for answering questions,
Mm-hmm.
setting reminders, setting messages. It's literally like having a little assistant like whispering in your ear all the time.
Oh, yeah. And don't forget about the real-time translation feature. I mean, it sounds pretty cool on the surface, right? Like being able to understand different languages just by like looking at someone. But when you really think about it, it's kind of like, what could this be used for? Like, could someone use it to eavesdrop or like manipulate conversations somehow?
That's a really good point. It's easy to get caught up in all the like cool new tech stuff and totally forget about the downsides. Plus, Meta keeps coming out with all these new styles and features. Like they've got those shiny, transparent Wayfarer frames and the ultra transitions lenses. Like they're really trying to make these things as common as smartphones. But speaking of like downsides and stuff that's kind of scary, remember that movie Minority Report with the
Oh.
personalized ads everywhere you look?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. You're about to mention the IXRA project, right?
Right.
With those Harvard students. It's
Yeah.
exactly. It's like that, but instead of ads, it's your personal information just like flashing up in front of someone's eyes. These two students, what were their names? Anthony Nguyen and Kane Ardafio, right?
There you go.
Anyway, they basically took these meta ray bands too and combined them with a bunch of publicly available software like facial recognition programs, reverse image searches, AI that can like scrape data. They even found a way to tap into those home address lookup services and get the social security number lookups.
See, that's what's so crazy to me. They didn't have to like hack into anything or invent some new high-tech program. They just used what was already out there and connected everything together. It's like a reminder that all this data, it's out there. And it's pretty easy to use it for bad stuff if you know how it. Yeah, it's actually terrifying how simple it is.
Yeah.
Like they created this tool that can find out your name, address, family members, even your social security number, and all someone has to do is look at you. It's like straight out of Black Mirror, but it's real life.
Yeah, and they even proved that it works. Like they tested it out on campus at Harvard and even on the subway in Cambridge.
Yay.
And it's not even like it takes a long time to get this info. We're talking less than 2 minutes, and someone can have a whole profile on you.
Yeah.
And you would have absolutely no idea that it was even happening.
It makes you wonder, like, who's looking at you and what are they seeing? Kind of freaky when you think about it, Russ.
It's kind of creepy when you really think about it. Like walking around and anyone could just like figure out your whole life story just by looking at you. I mean, we're all worried about online privacy and credit card numbers and stuff, but this is like a whole other level.
Totally. It's like we think we're safe when we take off the VR headset and we're back in like the real world. But
No.
are we?
Yeah.
It's like our faces are becoming passwords or something.
Yeah, and the thing is, the technology itself isn't really good or bad, right? Like, those students who made IXRAY, they haven't, like, released it to the public or anything.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they actually talked a lot about why they even made it.
So what was their reasoning?
Basically, they wanted to, like, sound the alarm. They weren't trying to make something that, like, stalkers or criminals would use. They wanted to show everyone what's possible with technology these days, like, how easy it is to take stuff that's already out there and use it in ways most people don't even think about.
So, like, a wake-up call, kind of?
Yeah.
But what are we supposed to do about it? It's not like we can just, like, cover our faces every time we go outside.
Well, it's not quite that dramatic, but yeah, you got a point there. There are some things you can do, but the bigger issue is that this tech is here now. So it's more about what kind of future we want to have. Do we really want to live in a world where everything we do can be recorded and like analyzed?
Okay, that does sound a little scary, like something out of a sci-fi movie.
Yeah.
But honest, isn't that kind of already happening with our phones and social media and all that?
Yeah, that's true. We create a ton of data every single day, But this is different. It's like next level stuff. Knowing what websites someone visits is one thing, but being able to just look at someone and instantly know their name, their address, their family, everything, that changes things.
Yeah, it feels way more personal than just like data on a screen.
Exactly, and it brings up this whole other issue of consent. Like when we're out in public, we expect a certain level of privacy, right? We don't think that just by like existing in the world, we're giving everyone permission to know everything about us. But with this technology, that's becoming a real possibility.
So is there anything we can do, or are we just screwed? Like, I'm all for being aware of stuff, but I also want to know, like, what can I actually do about it?
I hear you. Knowing about a problem doesn't help if you can't do anything to fix it. The good news is those students who made IXRAY, they gave some advice on how to protect yourself.
Okay, like what?
So they mentioned a couple of websites that are used for facial recognition and data collection. PyMeyes and Fast People Search, you might have heard of them. Anyway, you can actually opt out of their services, like tell them to remove your information from their databases.
Oh, wow. I didn't even know that was an option.
Yeah, it's not perfect, but it's a start.
So basically, we need to be more careful about our digital footprint, make it harder for these companies to find information about us.
Exactly. And it's not just about those two websites either. We should be thinking about all the ways we share information online. Like, do we really need to tag our location in every photo we post? Do we want to use facial recognition to log into our phones?
So it's about like being more intentional with what we share and who we share it with. But isn't that kind of like putting a Band-Aid on a bullet wound? Like these companies are going to keep developing this stuff no matter what we do right.
Yeah, that's true. Individual actions can only go so far. We need bigger solutions, like regulations and laws that address these ethical concerns. That's kind of what those students were getting at with their project. They didn't want to stop innovation. They just wanted to make sure people were thinking about the consequences.
So it's like a shared responsibility, I guess. The people making the tech and the people using it, we all have a part to play.
Exactly. It all comes down to this. What kind of world do we want to live in? And how do we want technology to fit into that world?
Deep stuff to think about. But seriously, this is something we should all be talking about. It really makes you think, huh? Like on one hand, you've got all this amazing stuff happening. I mean, real-time translation, helping people who can't see the potential to like connect with information in ways we haven't even thought of yet.
But then on the flip side, you've got the potential for all that to go bad,
Right.
like really bad. It's like we're trying to walk this tightrope between innovation and like being responsible. And it feels like that tightrope is getting thinner and thinner all the time.
Yeah, and I think that's what's so interesting about those Harvard students. Like, they didn't just build this thing and then like hide it away in a drawer somewhere. They put it out there for people to see. Maybe not for everyone to use, but like as a way to say, hey, this is real. This is happening. We need to be talking about this.
It's about time we started having these conversations too.
Yeah.
We're so quick to just hand over all our data to apps and websites without even like thinking twice. But then when it's our faces, our actual identities out in the world, that's when we start to get creeped out.
For sure. Like, I've kind of accepted that my phone is tracking me everywhere I go, but knowing that someone could just look at me and know everything about me, that's a whole different story.
It's like our whole idea of what privacy even means is changing. For years, we've been able to move through the world with a certain amount of anonymity, especially in public. But with this technology, that's not really true anymore.
So where do we go from here?
Yeah.
It's easy to feel like it's all out of our control.
Well, we can't exactly just unplug from everything, right? Technology is here to stay, and it does a lot of good too. But we need to be smarter about how we use it. We need to demand better from the companies that are making these products, and we need to have these open and honest conversations about the kind of future we want to see.
So it's not just about like opting out of facial recognition or being careful about what we post online, although that stuff is important too. It's bigger than that. We need to be part of this conversation about tech ethics.
Exactly. We have to start asking ourselves some tough questions. What are we willing to give up in exchange for convenience? What are the possible downsides of this technology? And how do we make sure it's used for good?
Those are big questions.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think there are easy answers, but we can't just ignore it and hope it goes away.
Nope. We have to be informed, we have to be engaged, and we have to speak up. Otherwise, we're going to wake up one day and the future's going to be here, whether we're ready for it or not.
And that future might not be so pretty. So yeah, let's all try to pay attention and maybe make our voices heard. Because ultimately, the future is what we make it.
Well said. And on that note, this has been a fascinating deep dive. Thank you for listening, and be sure to check back with us next time as we continue to explore the ever-evolving world of tech and its impact on our lives.